In today's episode of the Pathway Presents podcast, I have a very interesting guest here with me today. I'm with Zack Holland, who is the CEO and founder at SelectFew. And essentially, I really like the website. Actually, if you head over to the website, it gives you one very clear message. It says it's marketing, but honest. And I think it's definitely needed in the space. A lot of data flying around and sometimes actually difficult to draw real conclusions and make the best next step decisions. So I'm really curious to learn more from Zack, who they're serving, and who SelectFew is helping out today. So Zack, welcome to the show.
Thank you. So happy to be here.
Very good. So maybe give us an insight. What is, SelectFew all about?
Definitely. So SelectFew, we looked at marketing today, and there's pretty much two options if you want to market a startup or a mid-sized business. It's go with marketing agencies, which have deficiencies I'm happy to dive into, but or work with freelancer markets. And I think companies struggle with a decision between the two, and then both have their own inefficiencies. So we wanted to create something that was kind of in the middle. And so what SelectFew does is it offers a human guidance and touch with the SelectFew strategist, who's an internal member of our team, that works with companies one-on-one to then build a flexible team of pre-vetted expert freelancers that matches what the company actually needs month to month. And so you have the advantages of cost efficiency and flexibility of working with really great freelancers, while still having the close relationship, the guidance, the experience strategy that you normally stay at an agency for. And the blend of the two ends up allowing clients and customers to build teams that are really flexible and actually match what they need that month, instead of jumping into things and signing 6-month contracts and working with people that may not be a right fit for too long and leading to too much efficiency and bloated budgets.
Yeah, for everybody who's listening in, you can actually head over to the selectfew.co and you will see there is, a very transparent pricing model. It's very plannable. It's very clear to understand. So makes a whole lot of sense. Who would be the typical, companies that would be using SelectFew? Like, what does, a typical client look like?
It's a great question. One of the big advantages of not being one group with one specialty, our specialty is being able to build custom teams that really match where different companies are in their journeys. And so we don't have to have one particular type of client. So we work with clients in a huge range, from early stage startups to Series A and Series B. We have a lot of great venture capital relationships and work with a lot of portfolio companies, all the way through to mid-sized companies and doing projects for Fortune 500 companies. We have the ability to build these custom teams that actually match. And so we can work with people from health tech and education tech, SaaS, all the way to classic direct to consumer or finance companies. So
okay, it really runs the gamut. I see
everything in there.
And who would be the champion typically, right? Because I mean, sometimes I guess it might be a CMO, sometimes it might be even on the founder level, and then everything in between. So who brings in SelectFew typically?
It's a great question. Just like you mentioned, different at different stages. A lot of times we're working with founders in early stage startups, and that strategist becomes kind of a fractional marketing director for the company. Sometimes they're the first marketer on the team at some of these early stage startups. And then normally we stick around through Series A when they start to bring on a CMO, and that strategist offers the ability to bring up expert freelancers in testing things that even large, $20 million rounded Series A's, they're not going to hire a TikTok ad specialist, right? They're not going to normally bring on a CRO, but those are things that we can activate from our freelancer network for them to test out for a month. And so we stay along there. And then at the high level, working with Fortune 500s, the strategist works as an experienced project manager, somebody who has a lot of marketing experience and can guide a project much more than a recent college grad accounting manager.
Makes a whole lot of sense. I'm curious though, right? Like, I mean, people have to get to know about SelectFew, right? And as you mentioned, like the typical choices are going for a full-on agency or going with a freelancer. Like, what's the journey for somebody to, learn about the concept that you guys are providing, and getting started with you guys? Like, what would be the acquisition channels that you guys are leveraging?
Absolutely. So we have a pretty organic acquisition strategy. Most of our clients come from partnerships with either large agencies that are constantly talking to companies that maybe won't be a right fit for their particular service. and they trust that recommending to us will take care of them. Partnerships with venture capital firms, like I mentioned, and then traditional acquisition strategies like Instagram and LinkedIn advertising and everything there. And so the typical customer journey is pretty short and simple because, like I said, we're month to month. And so clients can come in, get matched with a strategist that day, and then work with a strategist on building an action plan and a growth plan that actually matches their company, and get insight in that first week. And maybe it's too early for us to be burning money on Facebook ads because our website isn't optimized and our conversion rates are terrible. And so maybe we need to go back and look at optimizing the site using things like PathPunk, or re-looking at our creative and saying, look, maybe we don't need to go and run a bunch of money behind ads that were terribly made. And so having a strategist there to say, maybe let's take one step first, and we don't need to do everything all at once. It makes it easy for people to come and get started.
Makes sense. Since obviously the listeners also like to understand, structures of like growing companies like your own, like would you consider you guys to be like inbound, outbound driven? Is that a 50-50 mix? Like, where would you place yourself on the map?
Yeah, I would place ourselves 70 inbound, 30 outbound. We've been lucky to not have to drive too much paid traffic to SelectFew to be able to grow organically. And it's also very content based. We love making content that actually helps people, just like you guys are doing at PathMonk. And so, it's been a result of that as well.
Cool. I mean, you mentioned obviously, we here at PathMonk, we love to talk about websites and conversion optimization. We're always very curious to ask in the interview, like, what's your perspective on your current page? Like, where do you see the major strength, for example, of the page? Is there something that you think that is working really well? Is it the experience? Is it, maybe the conversion rate? Like something where you think, hey, on your current website, that works really well?
Yeah, I know it's something that I'm sure you guys kind of battle against too. When you're trying to do something that's genuinely different and unique, it's always, it's always a little it's always a little bit of a journey to make sure that you can communicate that in terms that people recognize, but understand that something's new and different. And so I would say, yeah, I mean, the strength is that we do get across right away some of the inefficiencies in the current system. We don't really hold punches back on talking about how we think most marketing agencies are outdated, and based on the fact that they require so much overhead that most of those high retainer fees you pay are going to helping the agency run and not your actual marketing budget. So I think those are quickly communicated, but actually getting to know SelectFew and how well and how efficiently it can work for people usually takes a phone call. So
makes sense. And you probably, at least the founders that we have on the page, typically they have like a vision for the page of where it should be going. Like what's the next big leap or the improvements that you want to make on the page in order to drive leads?
Yeah, I think it's been one of those problems of the doctor not taking care of his own sick kids because he's busy taking care of everybody else. We focus on our clients so much that at SelectFew we pretty much have the same website that we launched with about a year ago, and it's about time to kind of start looking internally, start working on optimizing the site and improving things there. And so there's a lot to be done, and I think most of it would come in how can we better succinctly explain what's unique and what's different about SelectFew, probably doing things like explainer videos and things like that. So
very cool. I mean, we talked a lot about SelectFew now. I would be curious a little bit sort of about your personal perspective on marketing, right? What would you consider is one of the biggest challenge when it comes to bringing in innovation into today's sort of marketing practice?
Yeah, I mean, I think innovation is always tough to wrap a head around for anybody in marketing, because most marketing experts have the things that they like to use, the systems they like to go through. And it can be difficult to get people who are comfortable with one form or one method of marketing to try something new, especially when a lot of innovative products are very high risk or very high cost to test out. And so, I think marketers tend to be stuck in their ways with what they've seen works in the past. And but it's funny because that's antithetical to what marketing is supposed to be. It's supposed to be constant iteration, constant testing, constant changing, but that can be hard for marketers to do. So
interesting. And what would you say is the biggest challenge in marketing when it comes to showing return on investment. And I'm specifically interested in your response because you're, obviously seeing it from many different angles. Like, what return on investment, what's typically the challenges?
Yeah, well, the biggest challenge right now is Google and Facebook's Pixel problems with the iOS 14 update in Apple. I think we got spoiled over the last, 10 years, being able to just run a Facebook ad and say, great, for this Facebook ad, our ROAS was, return on ad spend was 8x. And so now we know we need to spend more in there. And with all the changes happening right now with how ads are attributed, it's only going to get more complicated to figure out true return on investment. And so, I think when you look at ROAS for a marketing system as a whole, it's, are we accomplishing a growth story for most of our clients? It's we have a place we need to be, in 6 months. What can we do to continue to tell our growth story the right way to get there? And so it's, again, just leaning into what are we doing to constantly test, constantly improve? Are we continuing to work on our conversion rates? Are we continuing to test new creative? I think a lot of times we get stuck with, great, we have an ad, it works well, this is the creative we have to keep using. But again, if you stop testing, you stop improving. So
you brought up conversion rate there. I mean, I would be curious then what you see, where do you see it becoming tricky with conversion rates? Like, what is, maybe if I may ask, where do you see the biggest challenge in actual conversion rate optimization on pages?
Yeah, I mean, it's a complex story to tell, because especially when most companies have traffic coming from, 8, 10 different sources, and everything is not the same. I do think there's so much room for innovation, and the kind of typical, okay, look, the most advanced things most people are doing are running A/B tests on their pages to work on conversion rates. And so so much room for innovation. Why I love what you guys are doing at Pathmark so much. So.
And if you're coming, like, I would be curious, like, if you guys are, you joining a team is joining one of your clients, right? You're getting started with this. What's the first thing that you would do? Would it be like, focusing on the roadmap? Would it be, initiating a new growth initiative? Is it like revamping the messaging? Is it going into the reporting? Like, where do you typically start?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that's one of the biggest challenges when you first get started is, what do you tackle first? It's so important to come out strong. For us, it's kind of always a pyramid. If one level of the pyramid isn't sound, then you don't have a good foundation. You can't move on to the next pyramid. And spending a bunch of money on ads is the top of that pyramid. And so, do you have a great website that converts well? Do you have creative that communicates what you're doing properly, and that continues to move up? Do you have are you focused on building communities through email and social and podcasts that are engaged? And and then at the very top, when all those things are done and secured, well, now let's go out and start testing ads. And of course, it normally starts with search and social, but there's so many other amazing ways to be testing ads now. Like AdQuick is a great example. Out of home advertising is normally a pretty tough thing to test, because there's so many different companies and channels, and a company like AdQuick, that's a partner of ours, has made it really easy to pop on. You pick a billboard somewhere, anywhere you want, it'll tell you the price, and you can test out buying that billboard. And so there's so many other things outside of that, but if your foundations aren't right, if you don't have a website that works well and converts well, and you don't have creative that breaks the noise, then you're gonna wind up just wasting a lot of money just running ads.
Makes complete sense. I want to switch gears a little bit and learn about you as a leader a little bit for the company. With so much marketing content being out there, like, how do you educate yourself? Like, what's the places where you go, and maybe even how do you filter stuff that you don't want to read?
Yeah, I think that's the much harder thing to do these days with so much being made, is filtering out all the nonsense. We've been told that to market ourselves in in the modern era, you just have to create content, when that just forces people to publish things that don't often actually make sense or actually bring any value to people. I really value creators that in the marketing realm that are coming out with pieces once every 5 months, once every 4 months, but they're thought out and in depth and long form and interesting. And you can't do that if you put pressure on yourself to publish a blog every day, or you have to tweet every 30 minutes. You're going to come up with a bunch of nonsense. And so I stick to the classics. You know, I love to read, as you can tell. You know, and I have maybe 4 or 5 you know, other marketing executives that I really trust what they come out with, and yeah, I guess that would be it.
Makes sense. Since we're slowly coming to the end of the interview, would love to jump into rapid fire questions. Are you ready for those?
Let's do it. Yeah.
I mean, what of the many books is the last one that you read?
The last one I read was Marketing Rebellion by Mark Schaefer, talking about how to blend, this is very fitting for you guys, how to blend human touch and human guidance with artificial intelligence in marketing, and how to find proper ways to do it so that it, you know, you don't just trust algorithms to do the work for you. There's still human touch in it, but you lean into the amazing value of artificial intelligence at the moment in marketing.
What's the one single thing that your company is focused on the most at the moment?
Continuing to bring massive value for our clients for the most cost-efficient marketing systems out there.
If there would be no boundaries in technology, what's the one thing that you want to have fixed for the company today?
No boundaries in technology. I would say operational. You know, when you start a new company and you're doing something new, you don't realize how many new operational procedures don't exist yet for that kind of company. We work with hundreds and hundreds of amazing expert contractors, but managing hundreds of expert contractors on tens and tens of client programs has been such a fun challenge to solve. So if I could snap my fingers and be Thanos, and have you know, a technology platform where all that was easy to do, then that's what I would do.
Very cool. What's the last thing that kept you awake at night about the company?
The last thing that kept me awake at the company is continuing to try and make sure that even as we grow quickly, we continue to bring the same value for client 100 as we did for client 1, and not losing sight of our values just because we've been blessed to be growing very quickly.
Mm-hmm. And the very last question would be, if today would be your very first day working on SelectFew, what's the one advice that you would give yourself?
Buckle up. It would be, you know, it would be take a step back, breathe, appreciate that moment. You know, you always dream when you start a company of being extremely busy, of growing really fast, and it has so many amazing things to that. But you know, do I ever miss the days where I didn't have anything to do on a Saturday or Saturday? Absolutely.
Very good, Zach. I really appreciate that you took the time with us today and gave us an insight into the world of SelectFew. I want to give you the very last word. What's the one thing, if they would be, you know, forgetting everything that we just discussed today about the company, what's the one thing that they should remember about SelectFew?
Yeah, that there are other solutions out there outside of giving your company's entire marketing budget away to an agency and hoping they solve your problems, or trying to manage 100 freelancers on your own. There are new solutions out there, SelectFew being one of them. SelectFew.co. Check it out.
Thanks a lot for being a guest on Pathmark Presents.
Thank you.